Everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pitstop Fracas, and we're here today to review the Portimao Grand Prix. And today I have Mahad, Antz, and Kunle to join me in looking back on that fantastic race. It was a brilliantly managed race from Lewis in the end. You know, he took his second win of 2021, finishing ahead of Max Verstappen. Of course, Valtteri Bottas came home in third after sticking it on pole. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of things we want to talk about. But before we get into that, first and foremost, I need to make sure I plug the socials. So if you haven't already, please follow us on the Twitter at Pitstop Fracas. The YouTube channel, you can see us all here on video. You can see Kunle sporting his fantastic purple do-rag. Please make sure you get involved on the account. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell notification so you get notified of any content that we're producing across the Touchline network, as well as the Discord, which is also going to be in the bio. Please get involved in that. You know, we have a great community that we're building there. We were doing a live today for the race, and yeah, we've got insights, debates, agendas running daily. So yeah, please make sure you get involved on there. How are you guys doing? Mahad, let me come to you first, mate. How are you keeping? How did you find that race?
Yeah, another good one in Portimao. I'm okay. Still recovering, still trying to analyze what's happened there. Good day for Mercedes. Lewis sticking it on pole. So yeah, want to get into it. Let's get into that conversation, man. Let's dissect this race.
Yeah, man. Let's get through it. Kunle, quickly coming to you. How you keeping? How you doing? What's it like over there in Canada?
Good. It's still a pandemic out here, but you know, F1 back-to-back races this week, so it's a good time to be alive.
Yeah, man, that's what we like to hear. And last but not least, Antz, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, what can you say? Number 97 for Lewis, impressive as ever. And yeah, Portugal, I think, delivered again. You know, the only thing that was missing was Afro Nation afterwards, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, man, it was a fantastic Grand Prix, and obviously Lewis Hamilton showcased his skill in bringing it home for number 97 wins. Okay, so before we get into the race itself, let's just take a step back before the starting of the race. And you know, there was a couple of items that we thought, you know, may surface as the race went on. You know, we thought that Red Bull might be doing the chasing, obviously after Valtteri stuck it on pole. We thought that Ricciardo may be on a charge after that poor qualifying performance, as well as track limits may getting involved. So, Kunle, let me come to you first. It was your guy Valtteri Bottas. He stuck it on pole, I think by 7,000ths of a second. How did you see that qualifying, and what were your thoughts going into the race?
Qualifying was okay. I mean, I think from Friday it was obvious that Mercedes had the best package this weekend. You know, one lap pace, long-term pace. It looked like it was going to be a Mercedes dominated weekend, and you know, qualifying sort of proved that. Q1 went okay. I was a bit disappointed in Danny Rick, to be honest. I put him on a light. I put him on a watch. I'll say publicly, I put Danny Rick on a watch, you know. But there was a few surprises. You know, the Alpine was strong as well. You know, they got into Q3. Mr. George Russell did his thing on Saturday, got into Q2, and then, you know, the rest as well. We had the rise, we had the resurgence of a certain Mr. Sebastian Vettel, you know, making it to Q3 while Lance Stroll couldn't even make it. I don't know if did Stroll make it to Q2? I'm not sure.
No, P17.
Yeah, Lance Stroll couldn't make it to Q2. So, you know, Seb showed some grit, and you know, and then there were obviously the whooping boys were the whooping boys. You know, the Haas was the Haas, the Giovinazzis, the Raikkonens, they were where they were, and yeah. But it was a decent qualifying. Q2 was the interesting part because of the tire choices. The guys that were confident, the big boys up front, they used the medium, which was arguably the tire that would be the best race tire this weekend. And then some other guys, you know, with the midfield guys sort of decided, okay, let's use the softs to get into Q3, but in Q3 itself, first lap, Valtteri did his thing, had a decent lap. Lewis not far back, and Max as well. I think Max made some mistakes, or he didn't get the balance right or something. So 1, 2, 3 was that way, and on the second runs, no one improved. And the funny thing is, in Q3, no one improved on their Q2 time. Which you'd have expected it to be. You'd have expected, the track evolving, the times would drop, but only Bottas improved on the Q2 time. So it looked like it looked a promising weekend for the Mercedes. The Red Bull guys, we could see the head dropped a bit. After Q3, they didn't really like what they saw from the car, but yeah, the points came out today, and today was what mattered most.
Yeah, I suppose on the back of that, it was enthralling, that qualifying, having it so close between Hamilton and Verstappen, not Hamilton and Bottas come the end of Q3, and there was a lot of tension that was building. We were all excited about the start of the race. People were saying, Valtteri's going to punch a hole in the air, which is going to allow Lewis and Max, to pull a slipstream through, to use the slipstream and hopefully pull through at the start, but I suppose the start of the race was really in formation, wasn't it? All three of them got off the line in sequence, but we had a safety car in the first lap. We saw Kimi Räikkönen crashing into the back of Antonio Giovinazzi. Before we get into Lewis and Max round 3, how did you assess that incident from Räikkönen? I'm going to come to you on this, Mahad. How did you see that?
I just think it's a lack of concentration there. There is no need for him to have that accident and do what he's doing. I actually saw the post-race interview from Räikkönen, and Räikkönen said, it was my mistake. I was looking at a switch on my steering wheel. So I don't know if this is just old age or what, because I don't know about looking at a switch.
But aren't they looking at the steering wheel number of times throughout the race?
I don't know. It was the shortest interview ever, because he just said that it was my mistake. I was looking at some switch on my steering wheel and he just walked off. But it wasn't a good look for Räikkönen. A bit of old age creeping in, but he's got his title. He's on vibes, like we always say. He's on vibes. He's just chilling.
OAP corner coming up for Räikkönen, yeah.
OAP corner. And back just on this. Let me just go back to qualifying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Vettel getting in Q3 and everybody celebrating like he won a world championship is the most shameless stuff I've ever seen on the internet. Stop it, guys. Please. The bar is in Hades. Right?
Certain areas of Twitter were waiting for this. Certain areas of Twitter were waiting for this, bro.
The people were starving.
They needed it.
The people were starving. They needed crumbs. They needed crumbs. They
got their crumbs, and then on today in the race, the crumbs got taken off the table because there was no points through.
Shocking.
But yeah, for going back to Räikkönen, shocking. But it happened around. Do you know what was funny about that? He had the accident, but Bottas was actually getting away on that lap. So if that safety car doesn't happen, it could be a little bit of a different race. But some early incidences for Räikkönen in that race.
Yeah, definitely. So that incident with Räikkönen resulted in a safety car for around, I think, 5 to 6 laps, which I know Kunle is definitely going to claim for Valtteri Bottas as leading laps of a Grand Prix. So that obviously resulted. Kunle, I know. Listen, Kunle, on the Discord, you will claim it. I know you would claim that.
Did he lead the race or not?
He was leading the race, yeah. So he led the race for about
no further comments.
This guy is too shameless.
It's horrible. It's horrible stuff.
I suppose on that, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure you join the Discord and you can get involved in the live where Kunle was shamelessly flying the flag for Valtteri Bottas. But yeah, coming back to the safety car, there was a safety car for about, I think it was 6 laps. And then upon the restart, Bottas was, back in the pack up as he usually does. And he bolted. And when he did bolt on the start-finish straight, Lewis Hamilton, I personally think, was caught a bit by surprise, which allowed Verstappen tucked right in behind him, which gave him a good slipstream and allowed him to pass around the outside of turn 1. Antz, how did you see that move? Obviously kicking off this Max versus Lewis round 3 debate.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right. He was caught a little bit napping, I would say. Like the moment when Bottas went, Hamilton wasn't like milliseconds behind. He was a couple of tenths off. And Verstappen, I think, predicted it much better when Bottas would go. And I think, yeah, he got a good run on him down the straight. But I think in terms of like overall engine performance, the Mercedes was better this weekend than Red Bull. And it wasn't that clear cut, but Max managed to get to the outside. And then it was a great pass around the outside into turn 1. I mean, we saw Hamilton do a similar thing later in the race to Bottas, but that pass by Max was icy, and you have to respect it. I think Hamilton was just struggling in those opening 10 or so laps. I don't know whether it was tire temperature or something else, but he was not the best in the first phase of the race, but he did grow into it, and yeah, you know, we'll get into that later for sure.
Yeah, we might as well just touch on it now. How did you see that then from Lewis's point of view? You know, he's the start of the race now, probably about lap 8, 9. He's now down in 3rd. There's always a potential that Max and Valtteri can get away from him. How did you assess Lewis's sort of racecraft, his in-game strategy, you know, to make those 2 overtakes on both of them ahead of the first round of pit stops?
Yeah, I think it was critical for him to stay in the DRS of Verstappen, because that allowed him to like remain with the front 2 and compose himself, gather himself, make sure his tires were operating in the right window. And then you could see him physically start to get back into it, get closer and closer and closer to Max. And then I think when he overtook Max made a slight mistake in the lap. And then it was a fairly easy pass, I would say, done before turn 1. And then the one on Bottas was incredible, in my opinion, around the outside. I think slightly more so than Max's one on Lewis, purely because it's the same engine, the same car, and he just had a great run from the final corner and just stuck it around the outside. It was quality.
It was.
It was critical for him to get that move done when he did it, because I think his tires, I think give it another 2 or 3 laps, his tires might have become to the point where it was just kind of gone past him and out of that window where he would have been able to make that move stick. So yeah, he made it stick when he needed to, 100%.
Yeah, I personally agree with you there. I think that those 2 moves were crucial for Hamilton, and to do that in the first phase of the Grand Prix was obviously pivotal as to how the race itself panned out. Mahad, I'm going to quickly come to you on this. How did you see Lewis from that point of view? Obviously, you know, being in 3rd, having to make those 2 overtakes on Max and Bottas, and then touching on the tyres as well. How did you see that medium tyre throughout the race weekend?
First of all, Lewis, it just showed his mentality again, because some drivers, if Max does that to you, that type of move, your head kind of drops and then you kind of lose the speed and being able to maintain being in the DRS zone. It was, like Ant said, it was critical for him to maintain that and keep up the speed, because what he didn't want was Max just getting out of that DRS zone and then Max catching Bottas. Because then it would be a whole different race where Bottas and Lewis are chasing. So Lewis did extremely well, keeping in there and then giving him the haymaker straight back to Max and overtaking him and just being able to say, look, I could do chasing too. This is what I'm about. One thing that's extremely underrated about Lewis is his ability to not only defend his position, especially if he's in the lead, but to be able to overtake and go through the pack. And like I said, his head didn't drop. He was able to get back up into the DRS zone with Max and overtake him. And then what he did to Bottas was he just dunked on him. Just time and time again. Since Bottas has been at Mercedes, this is what he's on, man. PTSD from last year. Same corner on Bottas. This is the same thing. The funniest thing is Rosberg pre-race said, Bottas got PTSD because this is the same of what Lewis did to him last year. And then the same thing happened because Lewis is a killer. This is what he's on. I think the tire management as well in terms of the mediums got his spot on in terms of the laps and when to lap. And he always says, Bono, my tires are gone. He's just chatting shit. I think he does it for show now, saying Bono, my tires are gone. But yeah, he got the strategy right with the mediums and got the race win. So to be fair, this whole weekend, let's give credit to the Mercedes engineers. Whatever they've done between Imola and now, their car is much faster than it was in Imola.
Them upgrades.
Definitely.
They brought in upgrades this weekend, so Yeah, I don't know if Red Bull brought in upgrades, but I know Mercedes did.
Well, they'll have to do it for next week, because if it continues to be like this, then it will be like Mercedes faster than this Red Bull. So even if you look at Q1, Q2, Q3, the Mercedes were faster than Red Bull. So both of them. So credit to Mercedes engineers.
Yeah, it seems like Mercedes, as the weekend went on, had the bit between their teeth. And for me personally, I think when I saw Lewis take on Verstappen and then obviously nail Bottas, I was like, okay, now for his point of view, you know, the race is now sort of in his hands, and he has control as to how it's going to end up. I'm going to quickly come to you on this, Kunle, with regard to Valtteri Bottas, before we properly get stuck into the court of agendas on Bottas himself. Just wrapping it up with Lewis, do you think, how would you say it is for Valtteri Bottas under the helmet or inside that helmet when you have a charging Lewis Hamilton coming for you for that P1 to take the lead of the race? What do you reckon is going on in Valtteri's mind there? How does he play that? How does he decide what to do? Because Hamilton's just coming at you at a rate of knots. You can tell he can manage the tires perfectly. You can tell that he gets a lot more out of that machine. How do you tackle with it? How do you deal with it?
I think it's two things at play here. There's Hamilton is definitely, Lewis is definitely the better driver, no doubt. You know, he has 7 chips to show for it. He has 97 race wins to show for it. He has multiple podiums to show for it. You know, whatever car you put the man into, as long as it can get on the track and move around, he would give you at least 1 win a season. You know, he did that in a bad McLaren car. He did that in the first year at Mercedes when they were struggling with the tires. So that's Lewis. You know, he has that. And let's look back at Lewis and his teammates. He's only been beaten twice across a season by teammates. And it's been how many years since 2007? That's about 14 years.
Yes.
You know, the man is basically 12-2 against teammates. So best believe anyone and their mom in that second car with Lewis coming behind you, you're shaking because you know what the man is about. You know when Lewis is on. You know, there's races where Lewis goes in, he's not having a good weekend. You know, if he's chasing, you're not really worried because you're like, okay, he's gonna get to a point where we get tired of chasing. He's not about it. But you know when he's about it, and he's been about it since 2016. He's been sort of locked in, like, you know, that he didn't want that Rosberg season to happen again. Basically, that's how I see it. So if he's gonna come in and break you mentally, he's like right now he doesn't care about who the second driver is. He just wants to win, and you know that's just the killer mentality. Like, you know, it's that MJ. I think personally, you know, I don't want anyone else to be better than me. I don't want to come second to you if we're in the same car. And so if I'm Bottas, I'm in that second car. I'm not gonna lie. If I see Lewis in my mirrors, I'll do what I can do, but you know, he's probably gonna do the same thing to half or more than half of the drivers on that grid in the same car. So yeah, I don't know. Like the man, there's nothing he can do. It's PTSD. Rosberg was projecting. Rosberg has PTSD. Rosberg sees Lewis. Rosberg sees Lewis, and he gets flashback.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed how Rosberg, anytime he's in punditry, he's gassing Lewis so much. He's like, yeah, Lewis, you know, ultra consistent, ultra fast, because he's slightly giving himself ratings for beating.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing every single time.
Yeah,
I respect it. Though.
Yeah, it's a shameless rating plug. You know, I'm rating myself. Like, you know, I did beat this man to a championship. So yeah, it's what it is. Not many drivers can hold him off when he's on that charge. So, but I did expect Valtteri to do better though. But we'll come to that part later.
No, we're not going to come to that part later, bro. We're going to come to it now. So Valtteri Bottas, Kunle, stuck it on pole, and he ended up in third. Now, on the surface, that doesn't look the best reading for him, especially, you know, as he was the quickest car come the end of Q3. if we want to be shameless like that, yeah, he did get pole position. But overall, Valtteri's race, how did you see that, Kunle? Do you think it was a stroke of bad luck with regard to when Mercedes brought him in for the pit stops? Obviously, he had an issue with the power unit when he was chasing Max in the second stint. How did you see Valtteri's race today?
That was a bad pit, by the way. That was a bad pit. That was bad. Compared to what the Red Bull did, that was bad. Okay, let's analyze Valtteri's race. It started well. He got a fine. There was no threat to that position. It was okay. He was doing fine, And then Kimi decides to be an old man and find buttons on the steering wheel. Fair enough. We get the safety car in. Yeah, he's still leading the race, a couple laps. And then once safety car goes in, he times it perfectly, whether you like it or not. He timed his bolt off perfectly, and it went off. But then the problems started when Lewis got behind him. So Lewis getting past Max was key to him winning that race, I feel. So when Lewis got behind Bottas, and if he doesn't get past Bottas, Max was catching up to them again. I said it on the Discord, like, okay, he needs to clear Bottas if he wants to win this race. But the pit stops, man, I wish it was maybe 1 second faster or half a second faster. Half a second faster, and it would have been P2 at the end of that pit stop.
Hey, listen. Okay, Mercedes slyly have been a bit poor on the pit stops this season. Red Bull have been outperforming them 100%. But Bottas's outlap for me was shocking. Like the way
it's the hard tires.
I get that, but don't forget then when Max came out of the pits, he was doing personal best coming out, and he was flying, trying to obviously do the undercut on Bottas. And I think for me, you could see when they came out of the pits, Bottas still had a fair advantage. Obviously, Max had the momentum going into turns 1 and 2 because he was coming from the main straight. But the way Bottas kind of just lit his rear tires up going through turn 4, and then going down into turn 5, he didn't defend his position at all. He let Verstappen take the inside. For me, it was really, really poor.
The man was barely doing. He hadn't even completed his outlap yet.
I know, but the thing is, like, when you come out of the pits,
Max had done it. Max had done it. Max had gotten into groove with the tire, and it was full steaming down with a full lap. With something to, if I'm trying to get someone, I know what I'm trying to go get. I'm going in with all of my. He probably deployed all of his cars, every energy applicable that he could deploy. He probably deployed it towards the end of that lap to be able to be that close. And let's not forget, Valtteri wasn't that far ahead of Max before the pits. He was defending the DRS during, for like 5 to 6 months.
Why though? Why is he in that situation?
Because he didn't have to pace that.
Okay, let me just jump in here. Valtteri Bottas got overtaken by Lewis. Within half a lap, he's 1 second behind Lewis. You're in the same car. What's going on there? Second of all, why is Max even that close to you? And you're blaming pit stops, Kunle. This is what we're doing.
I'm not blaming.
You're acting like he had an 8-second pit stop.
He had a 3. He had a 3. He had 3.
He came out of the pit stop, and then he was driving. I couldn't believe how slow he was driving. Yeah, when he came out of the pit lane, when he was doing his doing his outlap. Max, yeah, obviously he's got momentum and stuff like that. But for you to just part ways, just off pant, no defending,
100%.
Immediately just say, yeah, look,
he did off pant completely for Verstappen because okay, I can forgive him for struggling on his cold tires coming out of the pits, but the way he just let Verstappen through, I can't understand it, and that's where I have issue because me personally, I acknowledge Bottas's level as a driver is maybe a level or two below Hamilton. So, like Mahad, when you're saying, why was Hamilton like a second clear within half a lap, like that's just Lewis's levels for me. But yeah, Bottas's outlap was tragic. I can't lie. That's my opinion.
So the way I see it was, obviously you guys know I'm not Max's biggest fan, but Max really played it. Max played it perfectly, to be honest with you. He was much more aggressive. You saw even on his in lap coming into the pits, you know, he was locking up the rear, locking up his tires just to make it to that speed limit entry for the pit lane. His out lap, you know, he was lighting it up. And then when Bottas came out, he just saw sitting duck there, and he just goes, you know what, I'm just going to nab him here. And he did. He timed it perfectly on that first DRS zone, because obviously when they crossed the line for the DRS checkpoint, he was obviously within 1 second. And when he came to DRS, he just absolutely breezed past him. And from there, it seemed as though like Max kind of had second place, but Bottas started to eat away at him. You know, those hard tires were working for the Mercedes. And, you know, we were under the impression from AWS online telling us the striking distances are going to be in 2 laps, and Bottas was getting close to within 1 second of Verstappen. Although he faced like a power unit issue. Now, on this power unit issue, what was your take on that, Kunle? Do you think that as the Grand Prix went on after that pit call, after that radio message from the pit wall, that you know, they were just told to take it easy? I know they managed to rectify the situation. I think it was to do with the sensor, but do you reckon they just had to look after the engine at that point?
First things first, AWS is trash. Let's just put that out there. Because them predictions catching in 2 laps, striking distance in 3 laps. Half the time, let's not.
They're capping, man.
They're
cap, man.
It's big cap. I don't know what the data scientists at AWS be doing. I don't know how they be crunching their numbers, but yeah,
they're crunching it wrong.
Big wrong. Like he was like the closest they got to Max was like 1.3 seconds, and that was even. And then the power unit thing, I don't know, man. I feel like at that point Mercedes were fine with 1 and 3. I feel like at that point, you know, Max was not threatening Lewis for the win, and they were like, okay, we don't have Sergio Perez anywhere close to us, or whoever was in 4th at the time. Let's just take 1 and 3. We'll pack the bags off to Barcelona, or Barcelona as they call it, next week. But yeah, I think they were just fine. Okay, let's just bring it home. You know, nothing big, nothing's damaging. Come home in one piece. That's my take on it. But like that moment sort of like ruined is, you know, if he was pushing that temporary 1 or 2 laps where he didn't have the power, sort of let Max get away with some of his own mistakes as well. It let Max get away, and that was it. Like, you know, they just folded from there.
I'll say this, yeah. Even if the power unit thing didn't happen and he got close to Max, he's not going to overtake Max.
Why not?
He ain't got that killer instinct, man.
No, the reason why I disagree is because I think Mercedes looked better on the straights for me, and I think he had a genuine chance of passing Max, which is why I didn't want to judge Bottas too harshly, despite him having a really, really poor outlap. Like, not only did Max overtake him on that outlap, but he lost about 2 seconds, I think, on the outlap. But he did well to claw it back. He did well. He was within 1.3, as Kunle was saying. But yeah, the power unit issue killed his race. But he definitely had a shot at Verstappen, 100%. I don't want to count him out as getting second. But yeah.
All right. So last little bit on Bottas then. How would you guys rate his race weekend out of 10? Let me come to you first, Mahad. When you consider he managed to stick it on pole, also considering that, you know, he got away from the safety car well, and he led the race for about 6 to 7 laps at the start.
I don't give credit. That last bit, I ain't giving you credit for that one.
He had more than 7 laps in the lead. Come on.
We'll give him a 5.5 out of 10.
5.5.
No, because you started on pole. You didn't win the race.
Over 10.
You didn't even get a P2. You went to P3. What's going on?
Come on, man.
I'm harsh, man. Listen, if you finish on pole, do you know what? Yeah, with Bottas, he did what he always does. Fantastic in qualifying, and then when it's race time, he didn't do what he needed to do to get the race win. I swear at the beginning of the season, he was doing Rosberg talks. He was like, I swear on my mum life, I'm going to be better. All them things there. He said, I'll come back different. I ain't talking about misses, any of them things there. He took on all of that. But what's happened? He's not even anywhere near Lewis at all.
Lift the man's wife out of this.
Okay, I apologize if Bottas is watching.
Someone needs to drop Bottas's pole conversion statistics, because I have a feeling that they are very, very poor. Personally.
I'll research it. I'll research it after the race.
Yeah,
and put it up.
His XG's looking nuts, looking like Timo Werner, man. Nuts.
Yeah, shout out Timo.
Kunle, out of 10.
No, Antz didn't give a rating though. Did Antz give a rating?
Oh, I'm
coming to you next.
I'm agree with the
all right, we'll go to Antz.
Yeah, because above a 6 or 7, you want to be going forwards in the race, and he went backwards in the race. And the race is the most important part of the weekend. So 5.56 out of 10 for me.
For me, yeah. Why is everyone looking at me like they're
Don't do it.
Something crazy.
Don't do it.
An 8.
I'll give him a 6.5.
Okay.
I'll give him a 6.5 because it got fastest lap.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Which Max only gifted him because
I don't care.
Kunle.
He didn't exceed track limits. You know, he had a legit lap according to the FIA. So I'll give him a 6.5. I could push it to a 7. But I know I'm gonna get slaughtered by certain people. So I'll give him a 6.
I'll let you give him a 7 for the fastest lap, because
I'll give him a 7.
I will say is
I'll give him a 7.
Max in qualifying, and Max on that one bottled it. He needs to stop that. He needs to stop doing this, man. In qualifying, he was bottling it. Especially that last lap that he did was horrible in Q3. He was all over the gaff. He just needs to stop that. And the track limit thing is becoming quite prominent this season. It's becoming a talking point. Whilst Helmet Marco
it's an doctor is talking again.
He's always talking.
He's still talking, man. Someone needs to give him his meds.
Dr. Helmet Marco, please.
The doctor needs to keep quiet, man. He's talking.
He's like, if he got like a Twitter account and he was tweeting like Trump, he just needs to chill out, man. Someone needs to just take his phone from him, stop interviewing him, just stop this guy talking, man. I've had enough. But yeah, Max didn't do well with that. He did get the fastest lap, but you need to just stay on track limits, man. People know. You know the rules before you enter the weekend. You know what the track's about, so just keep. Are you going
to review your 5.5 then?
You me? No, I'm going to give it a 5.7 though for the fastest lap.
There you go, guys. There you go. You can't beat Kunle.
And
I'm unchanged. But Anik, go.
Anik, the thing is about Kunle. Kunle is just inevitable. You can't beat him. This guy's like Bruno Fernandes, man. He's just inevitable. You can't beat him. I was gonna say 5, maybe 5.5, but now I'm gonna take it to 6. I'll say it's 6. After that fastest lap shout, the fastest lap definitely, man. Yeah, he kept it within track limits. Yeah. He got an extra point from Mercedes, and they're gonna love it.
Yeah.
So moving from one team's second driver to the other. Let's look at Red Bull's one now. Sergio Perez. He hasn't quite finished on the podium yet for Red Bull, but he got his best ever finish for them today, P4. Quickly on that, how did you see that, Mahad?
He did well. He got qualifying P4. That was a thing. That was a big question mark before he came to Red Bull. Is can he put it together on quali day and keep up the pace with Max, Bottas, and Hamilton? He put it on P4, so I wouldn't have any too many complaints that he's put it on the front 2 rows of the grid. He did what he needed to do, and he brought it home at that point. The thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about, and it's probably going to come with time as he gets used to the Red Bull, because I heard that seat is quite difficult, might be a little bit cursed. He's overcoming it a little bit now.
Just a little.
He needs to be involved with those guys in terms of with Max, with Lewis, and with Bottas. He needs to be further up the field, because today he was just languishing in no man's land a little bit. He couldn't really help on strategy or anything like that. He got done by, who was it, Sainz at the beginning?
Yep. I think he dropped down to 6th at the beginning, didn't he?
Yeah, so it wasn't a good start. But you're in a car that has the pace and capability to be up there with the Mercedes, and you got Max, your counterpart, up there as well. So you need to be in and around that area just to even help out with those type of strategies with undercuts and overcuts and with the pit stops and stuff like that. So it will come with time, I think. But yeah, Max, no help, man. He's got no help, man. This guy needs to get some podiums. Perez needs to get some podiums now, man. If we're talking about constructors for Red Bull, I know we criticize Bottas and stuff like that, but he's still putting points on the board. I don't even think Perez is anywhere near. Perez is 6th in the driver standing, and Bottas is 4th. So he needs to kind of like step it up a little bit over the next couple of weeks. Yeah,
definitely needs to step it up. But I think one thing we definitely saw from Perez today was that he could really make those tires last. I mean, he stretched them out till about lap 50, was it? Was it lap 50 or so?
54, I think.
50, yeah, mid 50s. He done brilliantly well to stretch him out right up until then. And we've seen that a lot of the time throughout Perez's Formula One career.
That was pointless. You know,
it was pointless. Yeah,
that was all.
He was just going to come on to that.
What was the pointless? It's like, so I said it, yeah. I don't like Max, but at the same time, I want to see like a proper battle, right? I want to see proper, like, I want the teams to think about what they're gonna do. But if Max is just there by his ones, you know, no dad, no mom, no uncle, no auntie, no sister, it's just a lonely child on the street.
I said this before. Like,
oh
why? Kunle, you're right. Yeah, like Max is on his ones. He's been on his ones for a while. Gasly didn't help him.
Yeah.
Albon didn't help him. This can't be another scenario where Perez is not helping either.
If I'm gonna go battle, you know, if it's a ride out, right? We're going to ride out. I need my boy to be behind me, because I'm not gonna be an Upslan and it's just gonna be me on my ones, and they're gonna mash walk on me, because that's what they're doing on Red Bull right now.
But yeah, I feel like Red Bull only have themselves to blame on how they treat their second drivers for Max being on his ones. So I don't really have much sympathy for Max, to be honest. Like, he's out there to win the Drivers' Championship, and that's it. So we'll see how he goes, I think.
So that's the thing. Like, now it's like, it's bad. Like, it's now like, okay, it's Max that can win the championship, when there's a second car there that should be on the same level, but a driver that's a veteran driver. You know, Perez needs to either impose himself more. I mean, I'm going to give him some more time in that team, because I had him at the start to dunk on Max. You know, it was my shameless number 3. It was shameless number 3 for me, but that is looking a bit shaky now. But I need him to be, you know, I think I need him to be more assertive. Like, let me see what you're made of, because there's no point doing 50 laps on a tire when you pit and you're like 25 seconds behind the driver.
I feel like the soft tire this weekend was just not very favoured by any team, really. And I think it showed when Perez pitted. He didn't really, I don't know if he actually set the fastest lap. He might have done, but he didn't really make any inroads on Bottas, and Bottas was allowed to just pit and go for the fastest lap himself. So it's unfortunate. But yeah, I think with Perez and all the other big guys that move, Sainz, Ricciardo, I'm giving them around 5 races to get their act together, to get familiar with the car, and then start judging them properly from there.
So let's just touch on the fastest lap. Obviously, we saw mind games now. That's what I like to call it, between Red Bull and Mercedes. You know, they, in my personal opinion, stretched out Perez's stint just so he could put on a set of softs to go for the fastest lap. And then as the race progressed, Mercedes decided, you know what, let's bring in Bottas, let's get him for the fastest lap. And then, you know what, because Mercedes played their hand, Red Bull decided, you know what, we're going to play our hand now, and we're going to pit Verstappen, and we're going to go for the fastest lap. So guys, I'm not going to come to anyone in particular here. How do you guys assess this? Like, is it that key to go for this one world championship point? Is it about mind games? Is it about mentality, about having one over the other? You know, Horner's going into battle now with Toto, it seems. So, yeah, what do you guys make of this fastest lap scenario?
Shamelessness all around. It's just shamelessness all around. You know what I wanted at that point? Yeah, I wanted someone in 11th to pit, put on the soft hands, and get fastest lap, and no one gets the point. Because we need to stop being shameless in F1.
So do you guys think,
especially Red Bull,
Every point matters, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say
if
that.
we're talking about the battle for constructors, and it's Mercedes and Red Bull. What, one's on 101, one's on 83. It's not going to be one of those ones that's going to be blown out. This could be decided over a couple points, and these fastest laps. If we've got 20 odd races this season, that's that 20 odd points. So they need to be fighting for these every week.
But you know, if it was like in the old format, Mahad, like if you had 10 points for a race win and then 1 point for like finishing sixth, you know, then obviously the number of points is a bit more, restrained. Now it's a bit more spread out. You get from first to 10, you know, you get from 25 points, you know, to 1 point. Does it really make that much of a difference to pit your driver, you know, risk, a dodgy pit stop, you know, risk a dodgy outlap, you know? I just think it's just too risky to pit a driver and then, go and pump it now for a fastest lap. Even when they're on the fastest lap, anything can happen. They could spin off trying to push too hard or something. I just think it's just a bit too risky. And I think it was just unnecessary mind games at the end of the race. But yeah, that's just my take on it. What about you, Antz?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to take for someone to get burned by this pursuit of the fastest lap for people to reassess their opinions on it, because all it takes is for one tire to stick and suddenly you're down a position for it to not really pay off. But in terms of actually shooting for it, I think it might actually have an effect, as Mahad was saying, at the end of the season. But, you know, we don't really know how close it's going to be. So, you know, as a team, your objective is to score the maximum amount of points you can every race weekend, which includes going for fastest lap. So it makes sense to me why you would go for it. But, you know, we'll just wait to see the one day where it doesn't pay off, and that'll be entertaining. But no, I understand it 100%.
Yeah, we'll definitely be here for that.
You know who I blame for this?
Who'd you blame?
Perez. Yes, because if Perez was 4 seconds behind Bottas, Mercedes don't pit.
Facts.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like his stint on the soft tires was not really that great. Like,
yeah,
if you think it was 25 seconds for a pit stop, if Perez was 20 seconds behind Bottas
they don't pit. Yeah, exactly.
Verstappen isn't pitting. It's just going to be who can do the fastest lap on the hard tires.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out. Sergio Perez got driver of the day. Not sure why.
I don't know how that.
He did miss.
He got the whole nation of Mexico.
It's all those Mexican fans there, but
Mexico was moving different.
Mexico was moving a bit different today.
I don't know how that happened.
They organized themselves.
There were drivers on that grid that deserved it better than Perez. You know, I can mention at least 3 other drivers.
Who would you guys say your driver of the day was?
Personally, for me, Ocon. I just feel like
this weekend.
I feel like Ocon was just, you know, when he needed to overtake, he overtook. When he needed to hold his place, he held his place. Lando Norris did amazing too. You know, Lando Norris was great. I don't want to say this because I'm not a fan of pensioners, but Alonso did okay too. Yeah. So at least
Alonso's alive. He's alive, man.
Yeah. His teammates still beat him, but he did okay.
Yeah, we were saying in the Discord he got his medication through his drinking straw in his helmet. he came alive in that second stint 100%. So credit to him. And yeah, Ocon was only like 1 place ahead of him. But yeah, credit to Ocon and Alpine. I think that Alpine car was probably, it looks like the fourth fastest car now. I'd say behind. Is it the 4th fastest or the 5th fastest? Yeah, 5th.
Yeah, I think just behind Ferrari, 5th.
Yeah, actually, you know who deserved it the most? One person who I've been on this weekend, you know,
Rick.
I've been on him this weekend, and you know, today he came out and it's like, I know how to pull this car around the track. He did a very good stint on his first stint.
Yeah,
he held his first stint. I wasn't disrespecting him. I expected more. You know, he was getting dunked on by Norris, and that's still happening. But you know, and someone's made contact. And sorry, like you know,
that's Kunle watching back the race now. Yeah.
No, that was the thing that came up. It was the Raikkonen accident. You know, he came from 16th and he finished 9th I think it started at 16, no?
Yeah, P9, 16
Yeah.
to P9.
16 to P9. So, that's steady improvement through the race. And yeah, well done to Anik.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna say it's Lando Norris. This guy's Mr. Consistent, man. He's doing it week in, week out now since the start of the year. I think Mahad, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's third or fourth in the standings.
He's third in the standings.
He's third in the
He's comfy,
standings.
man.
Yeah, so he's doing really well. He's showing that McLaren has pace. He was battling with Perez for a bit. I haven't actually come on and really praised him as yet, Lando. I need to see it for a couple more races before I'm going to say, yeah, look, I'm on Lando hive. But yeah, I think for me, since the start of the year, and especially today, he's been Mr. Consistent and he's doing it really well. So for me, driver of the day would be Lando. What about you, Mahad?
I'm gonna go on record.
Same.
I'm gonna go on record. I'm gonna go on record. Yeah, I hope this doesn't come back to bite me.
But it's another hot take. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
I'm gonna go on record. Officially, the star boy, Lando Norris. Them other man don't matter to me.
Over Russell, man.
What about those AlphaTauri lot, bro? We're not having them.
I'm not calling a man that's got a full beard a star boy, and yeah, I'm not doing that. And the other kid hasn't hit puberty yet, so I'm not doing that. So Lando Norris is my. I'm putting him as my driver to watch this season. It's early days. But yeah.
I feel like he had a little clip on Drive to Survive, and I just got the impression everyone in the paddock rates Danny Rick, yeah, and I think Lando is like, hey, listen, this Danny Rick guy, I'm levels above him. Like, I think he's really like, come this season, he said, yeah, I need to dunk on this guy, and he's really like taking the opportunity at the beginning of the season when Ricciardo is still getting acquainted with the McLaren to score as many points as he can, and he's just doing a great job at the moment. And yeah, he's best of the rest behind the Red Bulls. And he was even ahead of Perez, as Anik was saying, for a bit early on in the race. So credit to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he done well, man. He done well. Like, honestly, I think, my driver of the day is going to be Lando as well. He done what he needed to do. He was complaining all weekend that the McLaren hasn't had the pace in Portugal, and he still just did what he needed to do and got the positions and got the points that he needed. In terms of Starboy, we could say he's the Starboy right now. He's my McLaren boy. He's doing what he's doing, man. Everybody just assumed Danny Rick would be the number one driver, and he's just saying, nah. This is my house. This is why I live here. So he's proven a point, and he's really one to watch out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, hats off to you, Lando. I hope you are going to let Latifi into your Twitch community now, because we need to now start discussing the Alex Albon Award. Guys and girls, if you not know already, we, after every race, do that Alex Albon Award, which is what it's called as at the moment, to the stinker of the race weekend. So we put the poll up on Twitter straight after the race, and it's overwhelmingly come down to no one else but Nikita Mazepin. And he's got about 80% of the votes. Guys, how did you see Mazepin this weekend?
I'm speechless. I'm without speech. This man is garbage. You gave him your super license points.
I don't know.
I don't understand what's happening right now.
He paid some.
The man,
100%.
He's driving in another time zone. He's driving in New York time zone. He wasn't driving in Portuguese time zone. I don't know what he was doing. He was absolutely horrid today in terms of just pace. He got his official spin on, I think it was on Final Practice 3. Got that spin in. He has to have one every weekend.
He needs it.
And he's just so slow. It's just actually incredible how slow he is. So the benchmark for me is his teammate, obviously, because the Haas car is nothing to scream about. It's nothing to shout about. So I'm not expecting him to be anywhere near everybody. But this gentleman, it might be one of the slowest drivers I've ever seen in Formula One. He is driving a go-kart in Formula One. And he's making it a go-kart. Not the Haas engineers. he's making it a go-kart because this guy's not doing what he needs to do. In terms of timing, how many minutes? He was 1 minute behind Latifi, I think.
I think he was 57 seconds. Yeah, let's call it a minute, bro.
Yeah, let's call it a minute. The guy is awful. And he's getting lapped as well. And he's cutting off Perez just because his head is hot, because he knows that he's just trash. He's hot trash. And he's only here because of a technicality of his dad running the team, or being a
dad having a lot of money.
Dad having a lot of money. So it's actually atrocious. I can understand if he was a paid driver and he had a little bit about him. He's got nothing about him, man. Nothing at all. It's awful to watch.
You know, when you look at these drivers, you know, this is the elite version of motorsport. You know, this is the upper echelons of motorsport we're talking about here in Formula One. And I could just about, you know, swallow the fact that, you know, he's a slow driver and you know, he's not putting in the lap times. But in terms of his interactions with other drivers on the track, we saw what he done over the weekend, you know, with Perez. We saw what he done with Latifi. You know, I'm just going to be bold and ask you straight, Antz. I mean, is this guy a danger on the racetrack?
I feel like there might come a day where he could have a serious impact on a race in terms of, I mean, we almost saw it happen with Perez. Like Perez nearly ran into him, and like Perez locked the wheels trying to avoid him. So when it comes to street circuits like Monaco, or where it's
Baku.
Baku, visibility's low. Like he is a disaster waiting to happen. So yeah, the fact that he's in a seat is hard to swallow, really. I think for every F1 fan. And yeah, a minute or so behind his teammate. It's just, yeah, shocking. What more is there to say?
Yeah. Kunle, any thoughts on Mazepin?
I shall not speak on that, man.
I will say this, yeah.
Look,
there's nothing to say. Go on.
The man, he wasn't one of the best in F2. You know, he wasn't the best in F2. It wasn't levels in F2. And it's in F1 because of that is money. That's okay. If you're in F1 for that because of that is money, that's okay. But you can't be getting. We've seen other drivers in F1 because of that is money. You know, they don't finish 1 minute behind their teammate. Like, I don't get it. And to be fair, I feel like for that pole, who was the second on the pole?
I'm checking it now. It's Kimi Räikkönen that was second.
Yeah, I would ignore Mazepin and look at other people on that pole, because Mazepin is it's a no-brainer. You know, Mazepin is in a different. The award should be named after him. You know, it should be given that honor of being named after, you know, the Mazepin award, without Mazepin able to be a winner of that award, because he's a legendary shit show of a driver.
So I suppose on that point, Kunle, we've agreed we're going to give him 2 races, even 2 more races, and if he's like going to be as shit as he is, then it's just going to get renamed.
That's Barcelona, Monaco, yeah.
Yeah, Monaco. I don't even want to think about it in Monaco, bro.
Yeah,
I'm worried about Baku.
You know what? I feel bad for the stewards, and I feel bad for the guys that fix the tracks and everything.
The marshals,
the marshals. They're gonna have a lot of work in Monaco.
Yeah, definitely, man. They're gonna have to they have to get the welding machine out and everything.
They might need to have barriers very high next to the river, because
come on, put it in the river.
Because I'm not trusting. Hey,
definitely might.
Move the yachts away from the riverside.
Hey, Abramovich, move your yacht now.
Move your yacht, ASAP, man.
Yeah, it's looking a bit.
It might lick it. You never know. One thing I will say is, I apologize, Alex Albon, because we called the award after you because you had a bad season last season. But now we have witnessed hot trash called Mazepin. Yeah, we're gonna rename it. It's like bookmarked. It's stamped in. We have to be. We have to give it some time, but after the 2 races, this will be called the Mazepin Award. If we're excluding Mazepin, because I think if we add Mazepin to these polls, hundreds of people are just going to vote Mazepin, regardless. If we talk about other people that had a bad race, Carlos Sainz had a bad race. Yeah, Carlos Sainz,
he had a difficult
good
race.
qualifying, P5 in front of Charles. Then we're seeing him get cooked by Alonso. It wasn't a good look for Carlos Sainz today. So if we're excluding Mazepin for this award, I am voting Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, I was actually going to throw Carlos Sainz as well into the gauntlet. I mean, I would have said George Russell, but I mean, his qualifying performance was really good, Mr. Saturday. So, you know, where did he end up? I think he ended up P16. So it wasn't the best race for Russell, but yeah, Sainz, he didn't do too well. Ended up
You know what?
11th.
I'm gonna give Sainz an excuse. Yeah, I
What's
think
that?
the strategy screwed him. That's
Just like they screwed Bottas, yeah. Just like they screwed Bottas.
No, with Sainz, yeah, because you know there's a certain part of Twitter that I'm glad this happened to Sainz, because you know there's a certain part of Twitter that we shall not speak of. You know, hola como estás, you know.
A lot
Hola,
of
¿cómo
Spanish
estás, Twitter?
a lot of Spanish flags.
Yeah,
a lot of Fernando 2005.
Yeah,
a lot of paella. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We love Spain. You know, we're going Barcelona next week. We love Spain, but I'm kind of glad this happened to Sainz. But again, I think Ferrari screwed him over with that strategy. Like when he pitted first, it could have stayed out. His pace wasn't bad when he pitted. Maybe they were trying to do an undercut with the mediums. Maybe they wanted to do 2 stops. I don't know, but it wasn't a good strategy. And at some point on that medium tire, it was toast. Everybody was just coming in, and it's like trousers down, bomb out, open wide.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go on the hards, because I mean we saw the front runners pit on lap 40, 45 from the mediums, put on the hards for only 20, 25 laps to the end. So
it didn't make sense. It
was one of the Ferrari have, you know, come back on their bullshit. So, you know, I'll forgive him for that one a little bit.
Yeah, but it depends though. If he's the one that called that for that tire, then we're dunking on him. But I'm guessing it's Ferrari that did that. So yeah, he literally had no pace. He had no pace at the end of the Grand Prix, and anybody and everybody was just getting past
him. But yeah, touching on the Spaniard that is Carlos Sainz and his representation across Paella Twitter, we go to Spain next. So Spanish Grand Prix is next. To be honest with you guys, that is probably my least favorite circuit. Like, you just get hardly any overtaking on there. Like, it's literally that 1 kilometer pitch straight, and then from then on it's just a winding mess, if you ask me. Like, there's no area to overtake. I don't know if like the dirty air affects the drivers throughout the lap or whatever, but yeah, I'm not expecting the most on-track action here. But quickly, guys, what's your take on it? I mean, you know, it's Mercedes 2, Red Bull 1 now across the 3 races. What are we expecting from the Spanish Grand Prix? Let me come to you, Mahad. How are you seeing this one going to play out?
I expect it to be another fight between Red Bull and Mercedes. We'll see. This is going to be a back-to-back weekend, so not too much time for development and analyzing the data. So it could be still advantage Mercedes in terms of speed, but we'll see. I feel like with qualifying, that's going to really just indicate who's going to win the race, because like you just said, there's not much overtaking going on. It's kind of whoever qualifies the best, there you are. This is what it's going to look like. It could be a little bit different, because usually we do testing in Barcelona, and they didn't do testing in Barcelona, they did it in Bahrain, so they might have less track data with these vehicles on that track. So that could throw up a little bit of curveballs, but if you're going to ask me now, I'll probably think the same as today. We'll see Lewis win, Max second, Bottas third. Not much change, but I could be proven wrong. I wish I was proven wrong, because I want it to be an exciting race, because usually I fall asleep when Barcelona's on.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully it will throw up an exciting race. yeah, Antz, let me come to you for one final take on it's the Spanish Grand Prix that we have next week.
Yeah, I mean, like echoing pretty much everything Mahad said. I don't. It's definitely one of my least favorite tracks on the calendar, just purely because I mean, yeah, it's a good test for the cars, but in terms of racing, it doesn't really offer very much. So I think we might get a race which is fairly tense. We saw how close Red Bull and Mercedes were this weekend. I think it's probably going to be a little bit the same next weekend, if slightly more of an advantage to Red Bull. So in the race itself, I would expect the top three to be like a couple seconds apart, and just the ones behind P1 to just suffer with dirty air and their front tires not really operating as they would like. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to watch. But you know, you get some good races in Spain once every 5 years. So
5 years, yeah.
That's a bad ratio.
That's a shocking ratio.
It's not great, is it?
I think the last enjoyable race there for me, I think, was 2017 when Hamilton was battling Vettel and he managed to obviously beat him when it came to strategy. I think, as ever, you know, the qualifying and the race start is going to be crucial for Spain. But hey ho, let's see what happens there. And I suppose on that note, guys, that's all we have time for. Antz, Mahad, Kunle, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. It was a great race for Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. Win number 97. Please make sure you follow us on Twitter, sign up to the Discord, subscribe on the YouTube, click that bell notification so you get notified of any media across the Touchline network. And we'll be back next week with a race review from Spain. Peace.
Cheers. Peace.
You guys take care.